What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is your host, Asia, founder of the America First AI Network. Before we get into today's episode, I just want you guys to click that link at the end of this episode that's in the description so you can head over and get your free copy of my novel, Becoming Brazen, written way back in 2017 when I was in my Jackie Collins phase and my beginning journey of my red pill moment. So I hope you guys take a look and download a copy and let me know what you guys think. Remember my Jackie Collins face, so be prepared for some vulgarity, but I think you guys are going to like it. So get your copy and click that link at the end of the episode. I just wanted to remind you guys that it is there for you for free. So enjoy, completely unpublished. It was not, professionally edited. So I think you guys are going to enjoy despite all the errors that you're probably going to find in that copy. But just have to get that out there. Now, today's episode. Honestly, I was contemplating whether or not if I wanted to actually do this episode, but I feel like it needs to be done because there's a lot that's been happening between whether it's Candace Owens or Nick Fuentes reacting to Candace Owens or people like Tim Pool reacting to Candace Owens or, others like Dave Rubin and so on and so forth. And a lot of it came to blows, really. They've always been going to blows, right? Candace and Nick. But he's had a lot to say in relation to Nick, to Candace, after the Erica Kirk interview or meeting that happened behind the scenes. And honestly, I was hoping to see something a little bit more transparent and in the public square. I'm hoping that that's still an option. But honestly, after what Erica did at AmFest, I don't think that's going to happen. And it made me even lose more respect, not for Turning Point alone, but for Erica, because I thought that's a bit disingenuous to say Egypt isn't on the list, for those of you who watched it. But really, what convinced me to do this episode is Tucker Carlson's speech at AmFest. I watched it, the whole thing. I know he was responding to a lot of what Ben Shapiro said, and maybe I'll react to some of that next week. But again, you guys know that this channel isn't all about reacting. It is about providing my own opinion and and covering the stories and the policies and the things that are coming out of the federal government that I'm passionate about, specifically that relate to me as an individual, as a citizen, as well as a digital entrepreneur. But this speech that Tucker gave, where he was talking about how our faith as Christians, specifically on the right, should bring us together no matter what. And he was calling out individuals, without saying names, of course, um, who were criticizing Christians on the right for specifically believing in America first. We're being called anti Semites or being called all these terrible things simply because we want to put America first and we believe in, Christ, family, country in that order, and to prioritize Christ, family, country in that order. And the reason why I'm bringing up Tucker, because you guys are probably like, how does this relate to Candace and to Nick? And you guys know me, I like to shoot from the hip. And this episode is kind of sort of planned in a way, but what I have prepared does not include Tucker's speech. Honestly, the only reason why I'm shooting this is because of Tucker's speech. So just follow my train of thought. I just really need you guys to follow me here a little bit, okay? Because his whole thing was about unity, and it got me thinking, why in God's name is Candace and Nick not doing that? Because putting aside their differences, because clearly there's a lot there, and clearly they don't like each other. But one of the greatest things about the America First mindset is that we don't have to like one another. We just have to respect one another because we share the same principles of Christ, family, country in that order. Now, I like Nick. I like him a lot. I mean, no lie, a lot of the episodes that have done really well on this channel and that brought a lot of you here is because how much I like Nick Fuentes and how excited I am about the America First organization that he's going to launch next year. Like, I'm still excited about that. But one of the reasons why I don't watch him that often except for when he's doing interviews is because I don't like everything he has to say. And when it comes to Candace, honestly, this is a guy who keeps saying he's got receipts. And I'm like, all right, I believe you when you say you have receipts, but I can't, but I need to see them in order for me to make a judgment call about Candace. The same way she showed receipts during her investigation for why not to trust Turning Point. I mean, before I knew everything there was to know about Turning Point and all the shady things happening behind the scenes, at minimum, I knew the feds were involved in a cover up. I never in a million years anticipated Turning Point. And even still, I was still defending Turning Point and Erica until the receipts. And then she showed us the facts, and I was able to draw my own conclusion that there's a motive there. And so I need Nick to do the same thing. Otherwise, move on. And I'm saying that because I look at Candace and Nick as the pantheon of America First heroes. Like they're the pantheon. She's a millennial. He's a Gen Zer. He's standing up for disenfranchised white men. And that's necessary. Like, my gosh, is that necessary in this country? This country needs more white people and needs more white men who value Christ, family, country. And I think Nick is the guy that's going to galvanize not just young Gen Z white men, but he's going to galvanize all men because they've all been disenfranchised. Specifically, though, white men across generations. I think he's going to galvanize white men specifically, and that's a must. Candace backs him up, specifically when it's time to go up against, which I believe to be the biggest threat to America's sovereignty, Zionism. And that's the thing. Because he continues to hammer on Candace, and every time she talks about her, she goes on to her investigation, he comes out to criticize her. But the reality is that I was drawn to his content because he exposed the threat of Zionism and this Israel lobby. And the very thing that she has called out to be a major player in the assassination of Charlie, or at minimum, the cover up of Charlie, is the same enemy that he's telling us about. I mean, I don't know why they're not connecting those dots. I am by just watching the both of them. And so it's making it difficult because I'm not picking sides in this between the two of them. I can't, because the reality is that they're talking about the same enemy. But I won't say that they're both acting like jackasses, but sometimes they are. I feel like she's not wanting to work with Nick because she either thinks he's a fed or he's a petulant child, which in some cases, yes, he can be, because calling her see you next Tuesday and calling her all these things and saying she's got a low IQ and like this is character assassination, and I don't buy into that crap. What Push back on what she is saying. What proof do you have that her investigation is yielding no results? Because all I'm getting from this is that Zionists and the Israeli lobby had a large motive to kill this man, and you've spent years trying to tell America that this is a threat. You two should be working together and pulling resources so we can fight said threat. That's what I believe. That's what I think. And I don't understand why Nick can't figure that out. I don't understand why Candace can't figure that out. It's like the both of you, stop acting like a bunch of jackasses, pull resources so we can defeat this lobbying group, so we can defeat this virus that's clearly destroyed the West's sovereignty. Clearly it has. I mean, gosh, this feud between the two of them, it stings a little bit. I can't speak for you guys, and I can't speak for all of America First, but I'm telling you that on this channel, you're not going to find somebody who's picking sides, because I'm not. I feel caught in the middle, like parents fighting, and you're the child in the middle who has to pick a side and you don't want to. That's how I'm feeling, because they're the pantheon of this movement, in my personal opinion. We know Zionists and Israeli lobby had something to do with his assassination, either in the planning, the actual hit itself, or the cover up, or all three. We know they had something to do with it. You're just not going to convince me that Israel and some other areas are not responsible for this. There's just no convincing me that that's not the case. And all that does is back him up. It backs Nick up. These are the two biggest voices in the America First movement, the two biggest people that everyone's trying to cancel. Nick is an anti-Semite because he calls out the problem. Candace is an anti-Semite because she's connecting the dots to Israel. What? But we can't figure this out as America First. You guys can't put aside your differences so we can actually fight the bigger threat that's destroyed our sovereignty? Because I'd argue it was them. And again, what made me want to do this episode is Tucker's speech. And I know that sounds a bit oxymoronic because he was talking about how, and not listening to America First, it does make people hate others, they're, doing the blood guilt thing. I don't believe Nick is guilty of that. I don't believe him to be an anti-Semite. I don't believe him to be a racist. I don't believe he thinks people are guilty just because they're Jewish or whatever. I don't think he thinks that. Neither does Candace. But they do point out the similar problem here. And I think they need to pull their resources. I think uniting under our Christian principles makes sense. Tucker was right about that. People like Ben Shapiro and Dave Rubin are losing their grip on what's going to happen after Trump. And they really became popular under these past 10 years. And honestly, they wouldn't be losing their grip on their audiences if they stay true to conservative principles. Dave Rubin, honestly, I mean, he was never conservative. You're a gay man. You're not a conservative. Your lifestyle is not conservative. So I don't know what the heck he thought he was doing. Putting that aside, more America First commentary is going to be on the rise. This commentary being against the Israeli lobby, being against pretty much any lobby that's for sending money elsewhere. And it's not that we can't acknowledge that all of these other countries are problematic, but all of these other countries didn't ruin our sovereignty. And Nick and Candace point that out the most. She may have connected them to the assassination of the most influential millennial on the face of the planet in the West, if you ask me. Simply because he declined an offer, was auditing their books. We went through this whole timeline yesterday. I'm not going to do that. Again, let me know in the comment section if you guys want a copy of the timeline that I created. I have different versions of it. If you want it, let me know in the comment section. But I don't get Nick's point of calling her a fraud over and over and over again. Show me the receipts. Show me the receipts. This isn't even me saying this in a sarcastic way. If she's a fraud, I need to know. I want to know. Show them. Show them. And then let us decide. Because honestly, though her investigation is hard to follow, doesn't mean she hasn't told us some things that we needed to know as a country. And I just think that her investigation supports everything that he's been saying about the Israeli lobby. The amount of power and control they have in our government is ridiculous. It's huge. It's so huge. And if what Candace is saying, if what her investigation is the truth, which I'm inclined to believe that it is, then she's proven him correct. She's proven him right. Why spend all this time in trying to discredit her? Why not use her investigation, her results, as a perfect talking point, if you will, for lack of a better phrase, for why we need to root out Zionism and the Israeli lobby? I mean, if this is the biggest threat that he sees, honestly, I think that it is. I think that it's the reason why we have all these immigration problems in the first place. Illegal immigration is another subject, but as far as this legal immigration, it's because our sovereignty has been diminished. Our immigration laws changed in the 60s. Who made that happen? Who said that we had to change how we did things in America so that way never again what happened in Germany will happen here? Only one group did that. And they did it across the West. Nick has made that point very clear, even when he went on Piers Morgan, when he talked about the World Jewry Congress. I mean, he said that this is what they were planning to do, that they had to change the law for that because of their never again mentality. I'm clearly ad-libbing, but that was the sentiment. That's what relaxed the laws of the West, which was destroying sovereignty. She has an investigation into the murder of her best friend, which clearly points in the same direction of those who changed our laws and sovereignty. And you don't want to use it. No, you want to spend time calling her a fraud. His latest comments about her meeting with Erica Kirk and how she didn't seem as confident this and she didn't seem sure about what she was saying and this, that, and a third. And she's calling everybody bots, including her own audience, because they're all saying that she sold out and got the call and pretty much she's just gaslighting. No, she isn't. I don't believe so anyway. I am willing to give her some grace. I do need more information about that meeting. But she seems to be holding the line. She's still going on and on and on. I mean, literally, what was a few days after the Erica Kirk meeting, and then there's a rumor that Erica Kirk was at that, military base that she mentioned, and she's trying to vet that, but she's not about to dodge it. She's still going full speed ahead. How has she changed direction here? She hasn't. She's been consistent. She's not paying anybody any mind except for staying focused on her investigation. Stay focused on the threat, Zionism. Honestly, a lot of people started watching Nick, including me, because he was pointing out the very thing that we were seeing. He was pointing it out. I mean, we did not need the death of Charlie Kirk to arrive at the same conclusion that Nick has already been at for years. America is broke. You want us to send millions and millions of dollars to this country in the Middle East? Why? You want us to get more involved in their affairs? Why? We're broke. And it was just for that reason alone. Then, as Christians, they're celebrating the death of Gazans. Got Republican senators and Congress people like Palestinians don't deserve to live and their race has to die. Like, what kind of a man are you? You're assigning blood guilt and you're okay with killing them, including their children. That is not American. We don't kill people. We don't murder people for the hell of it. We should despise taking life, and they're celebrating it on behalf of Israel. See, we already had these thoughts in our head, and Nick was the only one saying it. And that's what brought me to his feed, or made him pop in my feed, I should say. That's what makes me want to be a part of the America First organization, because here I am thinking that this organization is going to be about fighting against the Zionists, fighting against this lobby. Because Zionists, in my personal opinion, I think they're worse than Satanists. At least I know they're not trying to be a wolf in sheep's clothing. Zionists are Christians. Christians who believe that it's their job to force the return of Christ, that they have to fulfill a prophecy, that they have to do what they are doing, which is why they are connected to Israel. Like, this is the problem with Zionists, because they're the wolves in sheep's clothing. If the organization isn't going to be focused on fighting that and fighting any other religious influence in our nation that is not Christian, legitimately Christian, then what are we doing? What are we doing? Because I'd argue that people like Ben Shapiro and Ilhan Omar are a problem. The America First organization needs to combat both, not try and prove Candace a fraud, especially if her investigation points to the same problem, the same enemy. Come together and do that. Somewhere in his episodes between the 15th and the 18th of this month, he said Candace's TPUSA motive is just gaslighting. That her implying a cover-up, that only women are believing that. I don't buy that. Honestly, when I look at my analytics for my YouTube channel, because again, I was told I had to start looking at that. If I'm going to take my media seriously, I have to start looking at my analytics. I'm semi-analytical, so I don't know what the heck I'm looking at except for when it's spelled out for me. So literally, the people who watch my content the most are millennial to boomer white men. I think the same thing of Candace. I think when she talks about subjects like Blake Lively's drama, I think when she talks about stuff like that, yeah, women are watching that. That is a total female story. We're watching a mean girl come, fall like nobody's business. Women are watching that specific storyline. But I believe that men are believing this too. You're not going to convince us that no men are watching this, that no men are believing what she's saying, that no men are agreeing with her. You're not going to convince me that it's just women watching her feed. Tim Pool is making the same thing, and that's bothersome the most because Nick sounds like Tim Pool when he's going off on Candace. It's like these major crash outs minus the rage. Like I don't get it. You sound like Tim Pool, and this is bothersome. If you got the receipts, drop them because Tim Pool says the same thing. Says the same thing. He's got receipts about how she's a fraud and she's this and she's that and the third, and then there's nothing. You just keep saying it. Give us the receipts and let us choose for ourselves. Let us decide if she's a fraud. Prove it. Because from what I can tell, from what she's shown us in her investigations, and again, it's all over the place and it's a messy coverage of her own investigation. And I think that that is a legitimate criticism. It is very hard to follow. The fact that I had to feed her episodes into Grok at all to develop a timeline says her investigation is all over the place. And I think she needs to refine it a little bit more and not one day it's this, one day it's that. And I get it. It's conspiracy to commit a murder. And there are a lot of probably multinational involvement in this conspiracy to commit murder and the cover up of said murder. Completely understandable. But there's got to be a better way to tell this story, to tell this investigation as you're doing it. But with that said, I believe her. The facts speak for itself. She's not making this up out of thin air. People's name, she's releasing the names. She's saying who the witnesses are. She's saying who some of the sources are. But when it was the Utah cop who pulled over the Fed in the car, she's naming the names. Andrew Colvett multiple times. She's naming the names, pointing out the dates. She's pulling up everything that you would possibly need to prove that what she's saying is true. So what is it, Nick? Why do you sound like Tim Pool? And this is really pissing me off right now because it's like the two of you, get your heads out of your asses. Candace, I get that you're not trying to, get distracted by what criticisms are coming your way and trying to sue all these people for defamation or defamation per se. I get it. You're focused on your investigation, but you need to sit down with Nick Fuentes behind the scenes. You two need to come together, specifically the two of you. Because you're the pantheon of America First. I don't think she's implying that TPUSA is involved in the actual hit themselves. She has no proof of that, which is why she's not saying that at all. She hasn't even implied that. She's implied part of the cover-up. She's implied motive. Hell, she's proved motive. That's been proven. She's implying the cover-up. But the murder itself, she's not implying that. Nick is telling her to drop it. He's telling America First audiences not to believe it, but you can't tell us not to believe what we're seeing. She's not just saying it. There's proof in the pudding, and that's all I'm asking from Nick about Candace. The two of you are the pantheon right now, and you two are the ones who need to come together. Because to ask America First to pick sides between the two of you when the both of you are making sense to us, it's difficult right now, in my personal opinion. His fight against Zionism is why I listen to him. It's why I watch him. It's why I want to be a part of the organization, the America First Foundation organization that he's releasing next year, because I think that's the problem. I think Zionism and this Israeli lobby changed our laws. I think Christian guilt had been weaponized against this Christian nation by their never again mentality after letting them seek refuge. We know that they are responsible or partly responsible for the murder of JFK. This isn't even like we're not speaking it like we're not being hyperbolic when we say that. We all read the files. Israel is implicated in the murdering of JFK. Your name cannot pop up in all of these things, that all these bad things that have happened in our country, and expect us to remain loyal. She's investigating the death of her friend, and all this stuff is coming out about Israel, its prime minister, its direct funding, what they're doing with TPUSA faith. Nick is calling out the Zionist lobby, the Zionists and the Israeli lobby throughout our government and our culture. And the two of you don't want to come together and pull resources. You two need to get your heads out of your asses. The two of you need to come together. Again, his fight against Zionism is why I listen to him. He needs to focus on that enemy and not on Candace. Not unless you have the receipts, like the actual receipts. Drop them. Now, if you're doing what Candace does, because I will give Nick some grace here, so that way I'm being fair. I said I'm giving Candace some grace in relation to her meeting with Erica Kirk, and maybe there's going to be more about that, and maybe there's going to be something a little bit more transparent there between Candace and Erica. Who knows? I hope so. I hope Megyn Kelly mediates. But the same way I gave her grace, I'm going to give Nick some grace. Maybe he's doing the same thing that Candace is doing, and he's slow dripping it, and he's dragging it out because he's got to vet it. But I'm going to say this, though. If you vet it and you find out that it's not true, say that. And then drop this feud with her. Stay focused on the enemy at hand. Because what I'm seeing with my own eyes and with my own ears, Candace's timeline implicates the Israeli lobby. It implicates Zionist authority in this country. It's implicating them. And that helps Nick. It helps him. So calling her a fraud doesn't do anything. Doesn't do anything for the America First movement. It doesn't do anything for Nick, my personal opinion. Again, I had to take the time to create my own murder board of her facts because, again, it is hard to follow and all this, that, and a third. And that's a fair criticism. I can even agree with Nick in that regard. Sometimes it does seem all over the place. It does. But when you start to make it make sense, when you put it in a timeline, it all boils down and points at Zionists and the Israeli lobby. The very people he said tried to destroy him his entire career before he started one, tried to destroy his life before he could do anything, killing him without taking a shot, pretty much. The very people that did that to him are implicated in actually taking the shot against Charlie. Why are you two not coming together? I think they should. Now, if you were looking for a channel that was going to pick sides, you're not going to get that because I love them both. I love Nick for what he's doing. And I love Candace for what she's doing. I'm not picking sides here. I like them both. I love them both. I think they are much needed, the both of them. With the resources that those two have together, there's no way we don't take down the Zionist lobby in this country. There's no way we don't change it with the two of them at the head of the pantheon. But that means they got to put aside their BS, stop acting like jackasses, pull their heads out of their asses, and actually bust a move in favor of America first. Change this political spectrum so that way there is no more Zionist lobby. And if it is exposed for what it is, evil. Nick points that out. Candace points that out. Why are we going back and forth trying to discredit one another? He's a Fed. He's a petulant child. She's a low IQ person who's just gaslighting women only. I mean, come on. I'm glad that she's digging into it. I mean, no one really believes that this furry guy who's a tranny lover did it by himself. She asked one question, and the one question got us to Egyptian planes that stop in Israel and then travel the country following Turning Point USA Faith, where Erica and Charlie are at. I mean, one question. Are we sure he did this alone? Led to that. And it led her to the Zionist lobby and Israel and Bibi Netanyahu and Ackman. I mean, what? Now, Nick has laid out how Zionists take over a society, from its politicians, from its actual government to culture, the fourth estate, how it takes over. And she's literally laying out how they did this or attempted to do this with Charlie, and they had to get him out of the way. I don't understand why they're not coming together. Together, they need to focus on the Israeli lobby in America, and they need to stop this feud. He needs to focus on Zionism. Not to say that he doesn't do what he's going to do on his show and not talk about other things like the Trump administration, what they're succeeding at, what they're failing at. And I will be doing more of that. I haven't talked about what the hell is going on with Venezuela in a minute. Literally been tracking, my own stories, building out the platform. I'm trying to get out and released to you guys by next year, around January, February. It's leaning more towards February. But, I got a life. I got a full-time job and all this, that, and the third. And I don't want to chase hot button issues. But this had to be said, because everyone who I'm seeing reacting are picking sides. And the reality is America First shouldn't have to do that, because we should want them both in this fight. They are heavy hitters. Candace is the Muhammad Ali, and Nick Fuentes is, our Mayweather. I'm doing that because, a generation apart. Maybe I say she's Mike Tyson and he's the Floyd Mayweather. Again, generation apart. But they fight the good fight. We know who the enemy is. We know who's literally hurt the laws of our country for decades. They are the reason why a lot of the problems that we are having in America, with everything else, with every other people coming in, all these other immigrants coming in, the Somalians, do you really think they would be here had we not relaxed our sovereignty laws and our immigration laws? Probably not. All these Indians that come into America, do you really think they would be here had we not relaxed our own immigration laws? Again, probably not. The two of them point out that it's because of this specific group that's our reality today. And they can't figure it out. I need commentators to stop picking a horse in this race. Don't pick and choose. We need them both. They're literally calling out the same problem, and they are both acting like jackasses that they can't see it. And it's infuriating. That's why you guys hear me getting angry about it. They need to cut the crap. You don't got to like each other. I don't need you to like each other. I really don't. I don't care if you do. I need you to respect each other. I need you to stop calling each other all these names. Stop with the character assassination. Pull your resources, and let's bring down this lobby together. That's the only way this is going to happen. That's the only way this is going to work. Stop picking sides between these two specifically. We already got to go to war with these MAGA commentators. Right? These loyalists to Trump, the man. Because clearly they're not loyal to the cause. Brandon Tatum, who I totally believe is a sellout for $7K a post. Dave Rubin, again, never a conservative. You cannot be gay and be conservative. That's an oxymoron that doesn't happen, doesn't exist. I don't care what anybody says. You can be a Republican, but you cannot be conservative. And he's definitely more MAGA. He's not America First. Period, full stop. And Ben Shapiro, when I was first red pilled, Ben Shapiro was my guy. He was my real life Vulcan, man. I'm a Star Trek fan. But he was my real life Vulcan. I liked him. Then the video of him saying, if we abandon Israel, he will not support America. You're a traitor in my eyes. Get out of my country. Then I find out what he did to Nick Fuentes. Candace feels empathy for him, and instead of appreciating her compassion, without having had to guilt trip her into feeling compassion, without seeing where the two of you could pull resources and come together to fight against this kind of influence over our society. Nope. He's a Fed. She's low IQ and I see you next Tuesday. What is happening? I was excited about that interview, and I'm probably going to end this here because I don't want this episode to be as long as my other ones. But I was excited for that interview because it was like, I like what he has to say about the threat of Zionism and the Israeli lobby. And because it's Candace, like I've been following her since she first came out on Fox and Friends years ago because she was a part of Turning Point. This was significant because these are two people who value America first, who share the same principles, both being accused for being anti-Semites. Him longer than she. She was getting lumped in with Nick Fuentes for years, and she never even met him at all. And once upon a time, he was defending Candace, not all the way, but saying, better watch out, Candace. You're asking questions that, had them coming for me. She was so focused on exposing Black Lives Matter and the Me Too movement. She was so focused on exposing that. She wasn't talking about the problem with the Zionist Israeli lobby until it became necessary to talk about. As a Christian, particularly a Catholic for her. And I'm just trying to figure out, you didn't like this woman at all, but he even felt the need to say, but watch out. This is what made them come for me, by asking these questions. And I just thought to myself, this is going to be great if the two of them can put aside their differences and come together to fight this threat. That's why that interview was so exciting. That's why so many people were excited and thrilled for it. I didn't mind that there was some pushback, that it got a little bit heated. By the end of it, she felt like, I like this kid. He's smart. It was fine at the end of it. I just felt like, what was the problem? Why couldn't you be each other's resource in some way? And then it just fell apart. And it was like, what happened in so few hours? But that brings me to Tucker Carlson's speech. And I'm going to end it there. Because in his speech, he says, we cannot have permanent enemies. And today you can be mean. And tomorrow you can come to me and apologize. And I will offer forgiveness. Like, that is what it means to be Christian, to show grace. You are meant to be righteous, not self-righteous. We all fall short of the glory of Jesus Christ. And that, for that reason and that reason alone, you want to be forgiven, so why can't you offer it yourself? And I hope that that day comes between the two of them. I really do. Because they are heavy hitters, man. They're taking on the biggest blows, in my opinion, from everywhere. And I just think it's important that commentators who are America first, truly America first, and have something to say, and start podcasts if you haven't already. I don't think we should choose sides. I think we should be loud and tell them, stop with the jackassery. Maybe the two of you need to have a meeting that's not so transparent. Clear the air, and then have a serious, heated debate. Have a debate. Try to stay relaxed and calm, of course, but have that debate. Work it out. Whatever receipts you guys have on each other, drop them in public. Drop them in a debate. Choose someone who can mediate. Obviously, it won't be Megyn Kelly, but find someone who's fair in the America First space, who will do this for you. I think, well, maybe not Tucker. Maybe Dave Smith. I think Dave Smith may be a better pick, or Ian Carroll. Those two may be able to do it. But something has to happen because there are heavy hitters. And I think they need to bury the hatchet. You don't got to like each other. But there has to be mutual respect. And we have to move forward to fight the bigger fight. And it's not each other. But that's my time, ladies and gentlemen. Again, I was just going to enjoy my Friday. I was literally only going to do this episode maybe even next week, or just scrap it all together and focus on what Trump is doing and what we can expect moving forward with Venezuela, because obviously a lot has happened and nothing has happened all at once in that regard. The small car executive order, the battles that we're seeing between the public and AI companies and all that jazz. There's a lot happening that I really want to get into. And it may not even come next week, honestly, because next week is the holiday. I'm thinking about taking a hiatus. And you know what? Not thinking about. I am taking my vacation. I still have to finish building out this platform that I want to make available for all of you come the new year, relatively in early February if possible. So I'm going to be taking next week off. You guys probably won't see me until the new year. And I'm okay with that. In the meantime, you guys can head over to the Substack to watch the Disavow Gala, and you guys can click the link in the description to get a free copy of my novel, Becoming Brazen. Again, it's a bit vulgar. It's written in 2017. There's going to be some errors because this was not professionally edited. It was never published. I never even self-published it. But I think it's a good read and it's good. It's a good fun time for you guys. So click the link, get your free copy. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Am I wrong? Do you want to pick a side? Do you think Nick is right? Do you think Candace is right? Do you think Nick's the fraud? Do you think Candace is the fraud? Do you think they should bury the hatchet and pull resources to fight the greater threat that is Zionism? I want to know what you guys think in the comment section. Remember, I appreciate all the comments that I get because I like to go through them. It's a lot of fun for me. And I like to weigh it against my own sometimes. But thank you all for those who are subscribed already and are returning viewers. Thank you so much. And to the one specific viewer who always is there in my comments, I love you, man. You're great. You and I are the ones who engaged this morning in the comment section. And to you, I want to say thank you so much for engaging. Even when we disagree, you're a fun viewer. I like you. And to the new ones who are here on the channel, thank you so much for giving this channel a shot and watching my content and engaging in the comments and perhaps even subscribing. So make sure you guys hit that bell so you're always notified when a new episode comes out. But again, next week I'm going on vacation, so enjoy what you guys have, and hopefully YouTube doesn't do any damage while I'm away for the vacation time. But God bless you all. And until, well, the new year.